you're tuning into something different, something deeper. Welcome to a space where the unseen becomes seen, where the patterns beneath reality are decoded. This isn't just a podcast, it's a journey into the mechanics of belief, perception, and the multidimensional truths shaping our world. If you've ever felt like an outsider looking in, questioning the systems you're told to follow, you're in the right place. This is The Outcast, the Pattern Podcast. Let's dive in.
This is where we sift through some, pretty complex ideas and try to pull out the core insights for you. Make it make sense.
Yeah, without getting totally lost in the weeds.
Exactly. So today, we're diving into something that touches on spiritual alchemy, I suppose you could call it, awareness, pattern recognition, things that feel really relevant right now.
They really do. It's based on some source material that explores these themes pretty deeply.
Now, fair warning, some of this might sound a bit out there if you haven't encountered these ideas before, but stick with us. We're exploring, not preaching.
Right. It's about understanding the perspective, seeing what resonates.
Okay, so let's kick off with this idea. The source brings up the illusion of separation. It uses some strong terms like malevolent forces and pyramids of control.
It does. And it talks about an illusionary frequency they supposedly use.
To do what exactly?
Well, the idea presented is that it's used to foster subservience, and it even mentions creating a kind of dissociative disorder on a mass scale.
Dissociative disorder, that's quite a claim. How does it supposedly work?
The source explains it as breaking the heart, splitting it into two polarities, duality.
So creating an internal conflict.
Exactly, which leads to losing your sense of self, feeling disconnected, weakened, essentially.
And this isn't just about feeling sad, like a typical broken heart.
No, it seems much more fundamental. The source uses the phrase spell of feeling heartbroken, but links it back to a separation from unity. It mentions first love, creator, and creation, father, son.
Okay. A kind of core wound then.
Yeah, a fracture in that original wholeness.
Yeah.
Making us feel separate from everything, even ourselves.
And here's where it gets really mind-bending. The source suggests these forces access and manipulate, get this, the creative electromagnetic core of this planet.
And our own electromagnetic heart frequencies.
Right. Using, as it says, your magic against you, but making you believe that you are separated from it. How should we even approach that idea?
Well, it's presented as a core mechanism of this control. The idea is that our inherent energy, our life force, maybe call it chi or whatever term you like, is actually being sort of hijacked.
Hijacked to maintain the illusion.
That's the picture it paints. Influencing these fundamental energies to keep us unaware of our own power, our own connection, like a stage magician using misdirection.
But like any good story, there's usually a countermove, right? The source does say the spell can be broken.
It does. By uniting the heart towards itself.
Uniting the heart, healing that split we talked about.
Precisely. Bringing those polarities back into balance, into wholeness.
As a tool in what it calls a frequency war.
Yeah, as the way to consciously shift your own energetic state. To push back against that supposed illusionary frequency, it really puts the power back in the individual's court,
Okay, that makes sense. It shifts the focus inward, which leads nicely into this contrast the source draws between total ignorance and masters in total knowledge.
Right. And it's quite critical of systems that promote collectivism at the expense of individuality.
What's the core message there, do you think?
It seems to be a strong assertion of our individual right, our inherited right to exist in a sovereign state of consciousness.
Sovereign consciousness linked to our heart energy.
Exactly. It questions anything that might, intentionally or not, suppress that individual awareness, that inner knowing, for the sake of, conformity.
And it's not passive knowledge. It says action must come in to release this sacred knowledge.
Yeah, that's key. It's not enough just to know something intellectually. You have to embody it, apply it.
It even says a whole heart cannot be broken.
Right.
That sounds incredibly resilient.
It speaks to that strength that comes from inner unity, from self-awareness. Owning your heart energy, as the source puts it, is presented as like the fundamental step.
Challenging those perceived control systems from the inside out.
That seems to be the idea, yeah.
Now let's talk about evil.
Yeah.
The source has a specific take here. It's not some external bogeyman.
No, it says evil is caused by division. It's described as an inversion of the creative force that already exists.
An inversion, so a twisting of something good.
Yeah, and apathy, that feeling of whatever, is directly linked to this divided heart of consciousness.
So if you want change, You don't fight something out there.
According to this, no. Change starts inside. Healing that inner division is paramount.
It also mentions everything having a metaphysical energetic frequency.
Right, and that our beliefs can actually restructure our consciousness via these frequencies, guiding us through different ideas, different realities almost. It mentions gateways of the wormholes.
Like paths of understanding, maybe?
Could be interpreted that way, yeah. Different perspectives opening up.
This brings us to some specific facts the source lays out. Fact number 1, malevolence operates on what you believe.
That really puts the spotlight on our own minds, doesn't it? How powerful our beliefs are in shaping our experience.
That's essentially making us vulnerable.
That's the implication. If external influences work through our beliefs, then becoming conscious of what we believe is crucial. Like tending a garden, you choose what seeds to plant.
Okay. Fact number 2, disinformation. Used to keep us ignorant of our power and just confused, feeling tripped up.
Yeah, and that highlights the need for discernment, doesn't it? Not just swallowing information whole, especially if it makes you feel confused or doubtful.
Because the goal of disinformation, according to this, is to make you doubt yourself, keep you powerless.
Exactly. Undermine your inner compass, keep you uncertain.
And the antidote seems to be fact number 3. If you know the truth, you work with your thoughts and feelings and your heart. Stop the self-doubt.
Right. When you're connected to that inner sense of truth, that resonance, you're less easily swayed by manipulation designed to create fear or doubt. It's about finding and trusting that internal GPS.
Which leads right into discernment. Big theme here. Trust your feelings, your instincts.
But practical. Pay attention to that gut feeling. If something feels off, dissonant, it's worth investigating, questioning.
It's not about being closed-minded, right?
Yeah.
Just attentive.
Exactly. Not dismissing things you don't instantly get, but really listening to that inner knowing, that feeling of familiarity or dissonance.
Okay, another fact. Recognize that you are stopped from believing that you can relate to feeling self-empowering thoughts. That's quite pointed.
It is. It suggests we might have internalized or been subjected to influences that actively discourage us from owning our strength. Seeing that potential block is the first step to dissolving it.
Allowing ourselves to think bigger about ourselves.
Something like that, connecting with empowering beliefs.
Then the big one. Truth will set you free, but it adds a layer. Being truthful to yourself for self-knowledge.
Yeah, and it even brings up altered memories and how polarities like have, not, right, wrong are introduced almost at birth.
Wow, so the idea is we enter a world already set up with these divisions.
That's what it suggests. These polarities create strife. They distract us from wholeness. It connects us directly to divide and conquer.
Makes sense. Keep people focused on the duality. They don't see the bigger picture.
And it emphasizes that beliefs either empower you or disempower you. Truth becomes that personal knowing of your own sovereignty.
Okay, next fact. Anyone who does not want you to know that you are an infinite conscious being wants you to stay in the lower frequency.
Stark warning there. It frames manipulation as an attempt to keep people unaware of their true potential. Maybe keep them in a less vibrant, less powerful energetic state.
Underlines the stakes, really.
Definitely.
So how does the source define consciousness itself?
As an individual point of being, the intelligence of the spirit. The mind is the processor, the body is the avatar.
Spirit, mind, body, classic triad.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And it wraps up with these powerful reminders. Get to know who you are by learning about what your truth is.
Personal journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And no one can fight your battles. You are the only one that can do that. But you will be supported always. So it's personal responsibility, but not total isolation.
Okay, let's try and weave this together. We've got manipulation via energy and belief, a fractured inner self, the need for awareness, discernment. How does this connect back to that idea of alchemy and pattern recognition?
Well, alchemy at its heart is transformation.
Yeah.
Right? Inner work, purification.
Turning lead into gold, metaphorically.
Exactly. So this illusion of separation, this fractured heart that's the lead, the base material.
And the gold is?
Wholeness, sovereign consciousness. The alchemical work is that process of uniting the heart, cultivating awareness, using discernment. It is the transformation.
And pattern recognition fits in how?
In a world supposedly filled with disinformation and these frequency manipulations, being able to spot patterns becomes crucial. Patterns in information, what feels true, what feels manipulative, and patterns in yourself, what thoughts empower you, what feelings arise when you encounter certain ideas. Trusting that bullshit meter is basically applied pattern recognition.
Separating the signal from the noise, internally and externally.
You got it. It's a survival skill, almost, for navigating reality according to this perspective, maintaining that inner sovereignty.
So the big takeaway feels like it all comes back to individual awareness, looking within, connecting to that heart-centered feeling, and honing that ability to discern.
That really seems to be the core message. Your inner world is the key.
Which brings us to a final thought for you, the listener. Thinking about all this energy, beliefs, inner alchemy, how might you start noticing patterns in your own thoughts and feelings?
Yeah, which patterns seem to build you up, make you feel whole or empowered?
And which ones maybe leave you feeling diminished or separate or confused?
It's definitely food for thought, an ongoing exploration.
Indeed. As always, keep exploring, keep questioning, and trust that inner knowing. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.